Hey everyone, it is time for the Farmer Wants a Wife Afterparty. I'm your host, Stephanie Spiker, and we've got to talk about all the little surprises from episode 7. Today at the afterparty, it is ladies' night because I am joined by Candace Wierzbowski.
Hello.
And Lindsay Yoder.
Hello.
And eventually we'll bring some of the guys back, but today it's just the girls. We're going to have girl time. Which really works out because Jordan did say that we were invited anytime to hang out with the ladies from Matt's farm. So
yes.
That was awesome.
Loved that.
I would honestly love to take her up on that.
When are we going?
Yeah.
Right, especially if it's on Matt's farm with that view. I believe they had a hot tub. I'm there.
So maybe one day. But anyway, let's get back to episode 7. So this week, the farmers and their ladies all headed to Texas for a little camping trip. And we got a surprise visit from season 2's Nathan and Taylor. And then we had a handful of departures too. So yeah, there's a lot going on in Texas. And then the farmers each picked their final solo dates. So let's get into everything. And you know what? We're going to start this week with a hot take. So I know I didn't give you guys any time to think of any. So just, you're going to have to figure it out on the fly. So, but I will give you mine first. As of right now, after watching this episode, John is my least favorite farmer.
Ooh.
That is a good hot take.
So I don't think he's like terrible or anything like that. I just feel like I have at least with all the other farmers had some sort of like awe moment. Some kind of like, oh, like that was like mature or that was cute. Like I've gotten some little warm and fuzzies, you know? Especially this week, I was honestly pretty impressed with both Matt and Colton for the most part. Right? And then I always am impressed with Jay. But I've just never really, since the beginning, had a moment where I was like, oh yeah, I'm like really impressed with John. And it's not to say that I hate him or he's the worst or anything. It's just like, I just don't really get much of anything from him.
I mean, I agree that Matt especially had some real moments of growth this episode. I think having Nathan there really helped him because I think that they're kind of cut from similar cloths in that they both have the same approach to how they wanted to get to know the women on their farm as friends first. And they really aren't interested in kissing everyone in front of them. They kind of want to save that for someone special.
Yeah.
And so just as Nathan needed kind of a little gentle kick in the pants to be more demonstrative with his affections, I think Matt needed that too. And it came from Nathan.
Yeah.
And with that, I think it really helped him realize like, okay, like I can show these women that I'm interested. I can show affection without having to go maybe beyond what is his comfort zone in terms of like physical affection, but that like you still need to put yourself out there and you still need to like with your words tell someone that you like them.
Yeah. Like little affirmations. I mean, you don't have to be Colton. But, like,
no one needs to be.
Just give him a little something.
It doesn't have to be all or nothing of like, we're only friends and I'm not going to show you anything or I'm going to be macking all over you, you know? So yeah, he seems to be finding a good balance. Steph, I kind of agree with you about John. And it's sort of like you said, the accumulation over time that the more that I see of him, the more I feel a little put off by some of his interactions with the ladies. Like, I can't really figure him out because when Lily told him, oh, like, you really make me laugh, he kind of rolled his eyes and was like, oh, like, like he looked like he didn't
At this
like
point,
that.
I want you to give a John impression every episode of this podcast.
And then when he was talking to Claire and what was it? They were talking and he's like, well, do you want to go on a date or something? It's like, why does he seem so inept now? Like the more I talk to him, the more he seems like he doesn't know how to talk to the girls either. I don't know.
Yeah. It's that he's so reserved. And again, like we joke a lot about him being really robotic, but that's what it is. It's like he's stripped his conversation of humanity. Even when after he kissed Lily, and afterwards, Lily said, it's a special night. And he goes, indeed. And it's just like, how is that? How did you think that was like the best way to respond to the girl you just kissed saying, it's a special night?
Yeah. I also don't love the line he used about like, how's that for reassurance? Because that's something that I think it was Ty last year said that exact line to someone. And I'm just like, that is such a weird Yeah, I don't know. It's not just John who said that, obviously, because I'm pretty positive that that exact line has been used in the show before. I just don't love that. Like, there you go. You got a kiss. I guess you're good now. Like,
Yeah.
That actually reminds me of a moment that Colton and Bailey had where, is that okay if I move into there? So she was, I think, we only got a little snippet of it. It was one of those montages of different conversations. But when she was talking to him, you could tell that she was trying to explain to him, I'm feeling a little bit unsure. I'm feeling, nervous. And he's like, I think you just need to chill. And she's like, well, what do you mean? And then he kisses her. And it's sort of like, there you go. You should be happy now. I kissed you. And then he goes off and is like doing his macking on Zoe.
Yeah.
And I felt bad for Bailey, actually, because I don't think he was hearing what she was saying, which was, I think she was looking for actual reassurance emotionally and not just another kiss.
I don't think he knows how to give that kind of reassurance. When he was about to take Zoe aside, he said that my one regret from our date is that I didn't show her how much I like her. And he meant that he didn't kiss her.
Yeah.
Right.
And it's like, do you understand there's more than one way to show someone you like them?
Which is interesting because it cut from that to them having their little one-on-one, Colton and Zoe, and she saying to him, like, how much she enjoyed their date. She just likes hanging out with him and being with him. And so it's like, well, clearly she has some sort of grasp on how much you like her without any kissing, because she really, like, did enjoy that. But maybe you're more empathetic than I am, Lindsay, because my initial reaction to watching this episode was not to feel bad for Bailey. I was just kind of like, not like annoyed with her, but just kind of like feeling like she is being maybe a little dramatic. But I get your point in that I do agree that maybe Colton is not actually taking the time to hear her or listen to her and like address her concerns. But to me, she does get a lot of his attention. Where it seems like we always see a clip of them sitting alone, like on a bench, or like he pulls her aside at the dance, or tonight, like he had that little one-on-one moment with her, which who knows how long that was, but like they ended up kissing. And like, so I feel like we have seen them have a lot of just those two kind of off together, that it's like, you are getting a lot of attention from him. It is okay for him to also show attention to other women. But I 100% see your point that I don't know if he's actually listening to anything she says to him, so I can see why that's making her get a little emotional and dramatic about it. But part of me, maybe I'm channeling my inner Travis. Like,
I was about to say,
like, oh my God, get over it, Bailey. That's
I
not
see what you mean, though. That's a good point, because of all of the ladies, she's the one who I think would have the least reason to feel unsure and upset.
Yeah.
And yet it seems like she still does, so.
Yeah. I don't know. What are your thoughts on Bailey?
I mean, I like her. I thought, I don't know. I don't know if they have like a really deep connection, but look, I'll be honest. I got distracted for a second when Colton and Bailey were together, and all of a sudden I look up and they're kissing, and like I was in the room with you guys. So I was like, what is happening? Like, why are they kissing? So it seemed to have happened really quickly from my perspective.
Yeah, I feel like it was a weird edit. Like their conversation was so short.
Right.
And then it immediately went to, I don't know if it was Jay and Grace or whatever. I don't know who it was. But like, it was just such a tiny snippet. And I'm like, was there more?
I do have to wonder if maybe Bailey is feeling so insecure because she had such a long way to fall from initially securing that first date and being a real clear front runner at the beginning. And then all of a sudden that's been taken away. Like, I feel like that's got to be even more painful than maybe it is for the girls who haven't really had a date yet, or just really haven't been able to like secure their farmer's attention to the point that she has.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we also got John's first kiss of the show. I had to laugh so hard when when Lily came back to the group and she's like, oh, we kissed. And Colton goes, God bless.
God bless Colton.
He's so excited.
And it was like off camera. Like he just heard him yell it across the campfire.
I just like imagine him like sailing in to high five John, and John just looking puzzled.
Oh my gosh. But I don't know. I was intrigued by John's choice for his date, because I feel like he did kind of make the promise to Claire when they had their little one-on-one, like, well, you want to go on a date or something?
That one-on-one was weird, though.
Yeah, and I was like, so is that securing the solo date, but then he went and like kissed Lily. And then I'm like, well, what is he going to do?
John and Claire, I mean, so much of their conversation was about how different they are. And I get that, you know, opposites attract. But at like what point is different too different? You know, to be, you know, matched with someone for the rest of your life, like you do need to have things in common. You do need to have common values and goals.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It was just like, it was a very strange thing to, I guess, celebrate about their relationship, that we're so different and yet we get along. It's like, well, yeah, there are people in my life that I'm very different from and I get along with, but I would never consider them like a good match for me romantically.
I also thought, I think I get what he was trying to say, and I think he just worded it really poorly. But when he said to her, like, you know, outside of this experience, like we wouldn't like each other. And I'm like, I think what his point was, like, if we would have met out at a bar or something, we probably wouldn't have given it like a second thought. Mm-hmm. But the way he worded it, like we wouldn't like each other. And I'm like, well, then maybe...
Yeah.
Maybe if you're out, maybe that's a sign.
Right? Maybe the Claire date is producer shenanigans. I'm just saying.
I don't know.
My feeling about John and Claire is that their interactions to me all seem like two high schoolers in band who are flirting.
As a band kid through and through in high school and college, I love that reference, and I agree.
Okay. It's very stilted. It's very... Oh, you don't give a hug the right way. Oh, I have an itch. Do you want me to help you with it? Like, that's like teenager stuff.
They're going to start like a back rub circle next, you think?
I mean, you know.
Stephanie.
This is the dumbest thing to say. All I could think about watching John wearing his little bandana was Prison Mike from The Office.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh my God. All right, listen. I feel like there's time to admit something here. Uh-huh. This is maybe a hot take. Maybe it's a mini hot take that is only specific to myself. But I'm about to have a confessional moment. I think John is actually the cutest of all the farmers. And I did not mind the Prison Mike bandana. There, I said it.
You know what? I don't disagree that John is attractive. And I didn't think it was a bad look. It's just, that's all I thought of.
No, I know. You're not wrong.
No, just seeing Prison Mike in my head.
Oh my gosh.
Lindsay, do you have a hot take? We kind of just like went a little off the rails.
I have a real one then too. That's not just, I think Mike is cute. All right. My hot take, and I feel really bad saying this because I wanted to like her.
Uh-oh.
Kimberly Williams Paisley is a bad host. She's doing nothing.
Yeah.
And it's like she comes in, she introduces the segment, and then she's out. You know, she kind of came into the campsite, she hugged a few girls, said, "Welcome to Texas." And that was it.
Yeah.
And, you know, when Nathan and Taylor were there and they were talking with everyone and giving advice, I found myself thinking, this is something that Jennifer Nettles would have done in previous seasons. And I don't know if that's an intentional thing from the producers, that they're thinking like, okay, we've got some successful couples now, so we can bring them in and kind of, you know, synergy for the brand or whatever. But I feel like the host still needs to be more a part of the show. She seems like she doesn't want to be there at times.
I agree. Also, like, I think at least today a little bit, when the farmers were off chatting, just the four of them, she talked to some of the women, like a little bit. But I do feel like I expected more, especially because it was such a tease when they like announced that she was a host, and they're like, you know, she's perfect because she was like a city girl and she married a country boy. And so it's like, she does kind of have somewhat of a frame of reference to relate to this situation, and yet they don't really utilize her. But I will say, I thought Nathan and Taylor really gave like helpful advice, and just having them there for dinner and a conversation was great. And it did make me realize that I think part of my dislike of Mitchell and Sydney's appearance is not fully about my not loving them as a couple, but also because like the producers kind of set them up for failure, because it's like they're at the dance, talk to them if you want, and then everyone just goes off and dances like, and you know, this was such a, they come in, they sit down for dinner. Obviously, this is built for conversation and questions and advice and all of that. And I think it worked a lot better than having Mitchell and Sydney.
For sure. And they did have good advice. I mean, we already talked about Nathan kind of pushing Matt out of his comfort zone a little. But I liked Taylor's advice too, that like, you got to send girls home because what are you doing wasting your time talking to women on your farm that you probably aren't all that interested in when you could be spending that time with women that you actually are interested in and building that relationship. And it's one of those pieces of advice where you hear it and it's so simple, but it makes so much sense. And yet it seems to go against what all of these men have been thinking, where they keep thinking, I don't want to hurt anyone. I want more time to get to know them. You know what? Sometimes you know. Sometimes you know within like an hour that this is not the person for you.
Yeah.
Going on another date is not going to make a connection there when there is none.
Very true. So, do you have a hot take? A warm take?
I guess my warm take is that I think when we were watching Grace, and I think it was Grace and Keely who were talking with Kimberly, and she was like, how have you been doing? And Grace is like, well, you know, he brought someone back to the farm. And she's like, yeah, like that's tough. And all I could think was that Grace was sitting there like, this was your doing. Like, you know, because it was couched as if it was, obviously it was the producers, but, you know, I've enlisted your mom.
That is true. They do really like put it all on the host, where it's like they get these signed letters from Kim saying like, this is what's happening. Send someone home now. Love Kim. And so that is funny. It's like, also, does Kimberly Williams Paisley like really know what's happening? Because obviously she's not the one making these decisions. Right. So she's sitting there like, is she actually finding out for the first time that like...
I'm sure they've kept her in the know.
Loop. I hope so.
I may come up with a better hot take as we have discussions.
Don't worry. Throw it in anytime you come up with one. All right. We hit all the kisses, right? John and Lily, Colton and Zoe, Colton and Bailey. Did we really talk about Colton and Zoe's kiss?
We didn't talk about it.
We haven't really discussed
oh, geez. Here we go.
The kiss itself. We waited last week. We knew it was coming.
Just truly, I think that move could potentially not be the cringiest thing in the world if you're actively dating someone and you are in a relationship and like it's the whole like always flirt with your like partner type of thing, right? I could see that move working at that point, but this is your first kiss. And to do it in a way that's like kind of like trickery or catching her off guard or like that's weird to me.
She had no time to say no if she would not have been interested in that kiss, which I mean, you know, fortunately she was. Yeah. But still, I feel like there should always be an opportunity, especially this early in the dating game, for the other person to say, actually, no, I'm not interested in that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was like, well, my last line didn't work, so this time she's not getting out of it, you know? Like
that's true. She turned him down once. It's not happening again.
Yeah, I think he was like, I'm not going to take any chances. I'm just going to take it. And afterward in her interview, she was like, yeah, it was nice. And like, she was not really into that, I don't think.
Again, what really is hitting the wrong way with me is that this was their very first kiss, that he literally just pulled her face into his without any warning. Because I'm going to be honest, he was weirdly good at acting like he saw a fish. Like the way as he's sitting there with her and he literally like just kind of like perked up and like his eyes got kind of wide and looked behind her. Like he was strangely convincing that something was actually happening back there.
Secret talents. I think also it's one thing for it to be like a cheesy line. It's another thing, a new level really, when it's a line and also, like you said, like a whole like acting bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, as the kids would say, I would have caught the ick from that.
Honestly. And this is why with Colton, I just get so kind of annoyed with him because I think he does show like little glimmers of having some maturity and having at least a semblance of like emotional intelligence occasionally. Because honestly, the discussion he had with the guys when they were talking about, oh, did you bring someone back? And he was like, oh, absolutely not. He's like, I was not going to, do that. It would have caused so much drama. Like, I want to get to know these ladies or whatever he said. I was like, wow, like that was a pretty legitimate thing. Good job. Like, you did good. And then...
Well, he also realized that he wasn't right for Hope because he said, I'm not what she's looking for. And, right, she's been saying, like, I want someone who, is going to get a little deeper. I'm tired of the nonchalant act.
Yeah.
And so I think he knew, like, nope, this isn't going to work. I think he did a better job of sending her home than he did.
Taylor? Yeah. Poor Taylor.
Yeah.
Let's talk about, there were 3 total breakups this episode. So let's dive into them. And Colton and Hope, I do think it was, like, a very good breakup. That sounds weird. But, like, he really did it well with pulling her side actively, genuinely explaining to her how he feels and the situation. The thing about that breakup that bothers me has nothing to do with either of them. It has to do with, like, editing and production, is that you get both of them talking either to the producers or talking to each other saying how, I just don't know if it's a right fit. Like, I don't feel like we line up or whatever it is. And it's like, what? Like, how would we know that? We have seen 0 of them interacting. To me, that one felt out of the blue as a viewer because we really haven't seen them talk to each other at all. So it's like, if you're going to focus on this breakup, which obviously you have to focus on every breakup, like, it would have been nice to have at least a little bit of something beforehand so we could see why are they not right. I mean, other than Hope saying, like, she's tired of, like, nonchalant, that's, like, I feel like the only thing we've ever heard either of them say about each other up until tonight.
Yeah. I don't really recall them talking much.
No.
Like, all we've seen is them in a big group.
Yeah. Just a strange choice of editing to me that she got virtually 0 screen time until the breakup. But overall, good job, Colton. You get some props. And same to Matt. I think Matt also did a really, like, good job of being open and explaining his thoughts and feelings. And I wonder if Alex was just kind of saving face or if she really felt this way because she said to him, like, I've been feeling the same way. But, like, in all of her producer interviews, she's like, I just want him to, like, show me affection and show that he likes me. So I'm like, did you actually feel like you guys weren't right together? Or you're just saying that to him because he told you that? Which I don't blame her for doing that, if that is the case. But
I did like what she said in her interview before the breakup, which was that she said, I like him, but I am waiting for him to pursue me. And I think that maybe what she meant when she talked to him was that she could tell that he wasn't going to do that. And that even if he was kind of had some interest in her, that wasn't going to be enough. And also, of course, there could be a little bit element of, saving face, which I think we would all understand.
Well, yeah.
But I think that was right of her because I think I'd feel the same way, There's only so much she can do to put herself out there and make herself available and to let him know that she's interested in him and likes him. And it just wasn't going anywhere. So they handled it well.
Agreed.
Yeah.
John and Kaylee. I feel like that was such a short breakup that I don't know if I have anything to say about it, but I'm also like, is that really all it was, that conversation we saw? Or they just didn't show us so much of it? Because that was just nothing.
I mean, it was kind of a mutual thing.
Yeah.
Kaylee had been sitting there by the fire saying, like, I don't know, should I just go home? And I think that maybe when it's a mutual thing, combined with the fact that John is often a man of few words.
Very true.
That it was like, all right, like, there's nothing more to talk about here. We're in agreement. Good day. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
I will say, I thought, like, I feel like Kaylee's was a little different, or I just can't remember. But, like, for Alex and Hope, I do feel bad for them in the sense that this is a group outing and everyone in the group saw the farmer go over to them and say, hey, can we talk?
Yeah.
And then they have to come back to not just the women from their farm that they've gotten, like, close with, but, like, everybody and be like, I'm going home.
Can you imagine, like, the nerves, like, any time you're sitting there and, like, because people got pulled away for multiple reasons.
Yeah.
Some people got pulled away to get dumped, but some people got pulled away just to have a moment to talk.
Yeah.
And just, like, I would be freaking out that, like, my guy was going to, like, tap me on the shoulder next. And it's like, oh, my God, am I going home? Or are we going to kiss? Who can say?
Yeah. Yeah. But I just felt so bad for them when they came back and then had to, like, announce their, like, it's literally like, hi, everyone, I've been dumped.
Yeah.
Yes. No idea.
There was a moment that I had this week where it finally sort of hit me. I was kind of putting myself in the shoes of when you're early dating someone and you have all the butterflies and you really like them, but you feel insecure.
Yeah.
And for the first time, I was thinking, like, I could never be on that show.
Same.
Like, even if I was okay with being on TV, which I'm not, but even if all those other things, I couldn't handle it. I would be a mess. I'd be crying the whole time.
Same.
I'd be
100%.
saying the dumbest things. Like, the verbal diarrhea would be like insane. People would be like making fun of me. I'd be memed to death.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
We would make fun of us on podcasts.
Yes. I think I would be crying constantly, and Travis would be like, why is this girl so emotional? Oh, he better listen to this. He gets a week off, Travis. But he better listen. So, all right, we have to talk about, there were a lot of little shoulder taps and like, let's go chat. To me, it is very strange that John did not talk to Juliana.
Yes.
Like, he talked to Kaylee because they were breaking up. He talked to Lily. They had their little kiss. He talked to Claire. Mm-hmm. And did he forget? Do you forget? You have another one. There's someone like, because also, I mean, Jay, I don't know if he actively pulled aside all three of them.
He did.
Did he? Yeah. Oh, he did. Yeah. So Jay talked to all his women. Colton, we didn't really see Colton talk to Keely, but she did get the date.
Yeah.
And then Matt obviously talked to Alex because he broke up with her. Talked a little bit with Jordan. He talked with Chelsea. So the only one he didn't talk to was Halle. But like the fact that John brings this new girl in, you know, she's making it very clear, like, I don't really know him. Like, we had this one date and I don't know him at all and I would like to talk to him. He, you would think, would realize, like, yeah, I also don't really know this person. Let's, you know, chat. I'm like, you had the entire night and you didn't speak? That's very strange to me.
Yeah, I thought it was strange too. And I thought it was interesting kind of watching Juliana spiral a little because she had that kind of one-on-one time with Rissa, which I thought was very interesting since they're both in the same boat. Yeah. And I kind of liked the fact that they were leaning on each other. And she said, you know, it's fine. If you're meant to be with this person, like, it doesn't matter if they're with all these women because they'll find you and the timing doesn't matter. And then as, like, the night progressed and the next day. She watches
him, like, pick every woman but her to go talk to.
It really rattled her, I think, because then by the end, she sounded very insecure about it.
I don't blame her. I mean, the women, we talked about this last week, like, the women who are coming in are put in a very awkward position.
Oh,
That's kind of, like, not, like, fully out of their choosing. Obviously, they still are electing to go on the show. But, like, you know, that's uncomfortable. The morning at John's farm when they're all sitting there, like, drinking coffee, and it was just, like, silence other than, like, the sipping of the mugs.
That was
like,
supreme editing.
Incredible. So awkward. So it's like, she's already feeling uncomfortable, and then she watches him talk to everyone but her. Like, I could not imagine being her. I would be spiraling.
And she didn't get the solo date, which I think she thought maybe she had that in the bag.
I feel like John's choice for solo date was, quote unquote, the hardest choice, maybe. Because he didn't go on solo dates with any of the women he was picking. So it's like, regardless of who he chooses, two of them he doesn't get to have a date with.
Yeah. Well, that's his fault for keeping them around too long.
Well, that too. But I do think it's interesting. I honestly don't remember in the first two seasons, were there really only 3 total solo dates? Because I feel like there were more.
Remember.
Yeah, I was a little surprised when they're like, the last solo date. I'm like, wait, I didn't know there was a limit. I thought, I don't know, I didn't realize that they capped it at a certain number and then you just have to send the others home.
Yeah, because it's like, it's got to be really hard. I mean, this is already a really short period of time. And I don't know how much time the farmers and the women are even able to spend together off camera. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, if you don't get any one-on-one time with this person, there's just no way it's going to work. So it seemed kind of...
It does seem early. I'm trying to think of it from like a production point of view. So, okay, like there's the finale. All right, let's say there's like 12 shows in a season, right? There's the finale. 12. There's 2 episodes are the at-home episodes.
Yeah, the family dates.
Right. So that's 3. So that's down to 9. We're on episode 7. So next week will be episode 8. So last solo dates. And then maybe like one last like group hang. Or they'll just really like spread out the like drama of who will be like picked to go to the solo or not solo days, the hometown visits or whatever. So I can see how if there's only 12 episodes, we might already be there.
That's true. Well, let's hope that in one of the next few episodes, they go out on the farm. Just kidding. But also not. I'm genuinely a little annoyed at the fact that this season has featured almost zero of them actively working on the farm.
Yeah.
Because what is the point? What is the point? Because even in the episode today, Jay asked Rissa, like, oh, like, could you see yourself here, like, in Alabama on the farm or whatever? And she said, well, the only thing is, like, I like to travel. But other than that, I love it. And I'm like, have you done anything?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What is there to love? Like, you haven't even experienced it.
Yeah. It's
and that's not her fault, obviously. But, like, at the end of the day, this show, the reason it is unique and special is because it is about women going onto these farms and potentially becoming a farmer's wife and, like, all of that stuff and everything that goes into it. And to feel like, to me, this season has been flipped into just, like, another run-of-the-mill reality dating show, drama, which I know that at the beginning of this podcast, on the first episode, before the show aired, I said I wanted more drama, and I do stand by that. But I feel like I didn't want more drama at the expense of what made this show what it is. Like,
yeah.
I am just...
I get what you mean. And there can be drama that is derived from the farm work.
Yes.
You know, just yesterday, I was sitting next to Steph and I was looking at some old pictures on our website from when we have covered previous seasons. And there was a photo of Hunter's Farm and the women on Hunter's Farm. I don't know what they were doing.
They were
it
trying to,
a
like,
bull calf,
wrangle
maybe?
a calf or something.
I don't know, but there was a girl, her hair was like flying around, and we both had a moment where we're like, oh, remember when?
Right. Remember when they actually did farm work?
Yeah.
And I feel like potentially in the grand scheme of the show's audience, I am in the minority of being like, get them on the farm. But again, I feel like that is kind of a whole part of the show's, like, shtick is like, oh, look at the city women on the farm. It's so funny, you know? So it's like, why are we turning away from that? Because a lot of times they'll do the farm work just as, like, the beginning of the episode and then they go into whatever else they're doing. I really thought we would just see them doing farm work and then the farmer would get a letter saying, like, oh, we're going camping.
Yeah, they're always just sitting around eating.
Yeah.
They're just hanging out.
You know, and yeah, that seems fun, but you're not going to be hanging out if you're actually working and living on the farm. And, like, at John's farm, for instance, probably the reason they can't show it is because none of them are going to be, like, driving a combine on that giant field.
But they did last year with Brandon and the potato farm. They did, like, a little ride-along type of situation where the women were in it with him.
That's true. You're right. I mean, they could show.
There are options. But I don't know. I mean, I kind of am like, I feel like at this point, with everything that does need to happen, like between now and the final choice, I'm like, I think they are pretty much done on the farm. Like, they're not going to be doing anything else. So apparently that's it. It's Farmer Wants a Wife who will just hang out at his house instead of doing work.
Who will sit and drink coffee.
Yeah. All right, let's get into what we are looking forward to for next week. I want to know your most anticipated date.
I'm looking forward to Jay and Rissa because I'm not sold that Jay actually is interested in Rissa.
Same.
He said, my mama picked her for a reason, which to me says, you don't understand yet what that reason might be. And he, you know, he did pull her aside this episode, but their conversation was very surface level. He asked if she, you know, enjoyed the farm, and that was it. And coming from Jay, who I think is probably the best communicator of the four farmers, that was not the kind of conversation that I know he's capable of having. And so I want to see what happens on that date because I feel like it's a very high stakes date that if it doesn't go well, Rissa is probably going to go home because Jay already knows that he's got Grace and Karina, who are both wonderful people, wonderful options for him. So, you know, why bother with Rissa, unfortunately?
Totally agree. I feel like that date, unless Rissa impresses him so much, like unless he is like floored by his connection with her and their conversation or whatever it is, I do not see her topping either Grace or Karina for a spot in the final 2. I would be shocked by that, to be honest. But
yeah.
I guess we'll find out.
And we know that Jay is not above setting up little tests for the women on his farm.
True.
So I don't know if he'll have something planned for her or not.
Maybe he'll do the poop test.
Yeah.
A literal poop test.
Oh, gosh.
Sorry.
All right, who are you most looking forward to, Lindsay?
I'm excited to see Matt and Chelsea because they did make strides this week, I think, with him. It was so funny. He was so struggling to just say the words, I really like you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You could see it just trying to come out, and he just had to really pull the teeth of saying it out loud. And but it seemed like he meant it and that he was making an effort to be honest about his feelings. So I'm curious to see if maybe they will end up having a kiss. Like maybe he'll get to a point of, okay, I'm ready to, show more of that affection.
I feel like they teased that in the preview. I think that was Matt and Chelsea in the previews. I think they teased it.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think. Maybe I'm wrong. But that's also the one I'm looking forward to most is Matt and Chelsea. Because I literally from episode 1, just from their speed date, I remember writing down I think these two have potential. They seem to have a lot in common. They seem to have a connection. And then we just never saw her again. And I've just been waiting for Matt and Chelsea to have a moment. So that's for sure the one that I'm I want to see how this goes. I feel like Colton and Keely did already have some one-on-one time. So I'm okay, we'll see. That one's not super exciting for me. And then John and Claire, I just am confused by a little bit. So I guess I'm intrigued to see that just in general, to be what's up here? Are we just little high school band kids flirting or is this real? Who knows?
Has the potential to be a real awkward date. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I feel like it could either be they're actually kind of cute together or it's going to be very awkward.
Mm-hmm.
I wish, honestly, at this point that he had, sorry, Claire, but I wish he had sent Claire home and then just focused on Lily and Juliana, because wouldn't those be the only 2 left? Is he down to 3 now because Kaylee left? Although, nothing against Claire, but it puzzled me because, I don't see anything there between them.
Yeah, I feel like John seems to have a habit of kind of going for women that aren't actually right for him. He was so into Samantha, and it seemed very clear this wouldn't actually work long term. And now he seems to be kind of smitten with Claire, even though he's we wouldn't like each other outside of here.
He likes a challenge.
Yeah, and I'm I'm going to be honest, dude. Maybe just look at Lily, because she's only 23. I took notice this week of her age. She's so young. And I'm she's been really mature about the whole situation. And clearly they do actually have some sort of connection because she was the first one he kissed. So it's odd to me that he seems to just be going headfirst into the women who probably aren't actually a good fit for him. I don't know.
Yeah.
Again, John, I don't dislike you. I'm sorry. I feel like this episode made it sound like I do.
You've put in enough disclaimers, I think.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm at the point I don't dislike any of them. Colton has made strides for me.
Yes.
It's still 2 steps forward, 1 step back, but he's inching his way up there.
Yeah. Yeah. Inching his way toward what? I don't know.
Who knows? Another kiss with someone, probably.
Yeah, another set of lips.
All right. I think that'll wrap us up. We will have to wait and see how these dates turn out next week. And yeah, we'll be back. Maybe Travis will be back. Who knows? It'll be a surprise for you guys. But anyway, thank you guys so much for listening, for partying with us at the Farmer Wants a Wife After Party. If you like this episode, please feel free to subscribe. And if you really like this episode, you can leave us a review. If you want to reach out to us and tell us any of your thoughts, opinions, hot takes, let us know. We would love to hear it. Our email is afterparty@lancasterfarming.com. And truly, we get so excited when we get emails. We all are very happy every time we see an email in our After Party inbox. So please reach out to us if you have anything to say. We love reading your thoughts. You can give us a follow on social media at Lancaster Farming on most platforms, and we post about Farmer Wants a Wife on there too. So we will talk to you all next week. I'm Stephanie.
I'm Candace.
And I'm Lindsay.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.
This episode of the Farmer Wants a Wife After Party is copyright 2025 by Lancaster Farming newspaper, part of the Steinman Communications family. It was written by Stephanie Spiker and produced by Justin Berger and Eric Herlock. The music is by Tin Bird Shadow.